Hey guys, this is Brandon from Brandon's Garages. So today, very excited. I've got something that I've been waiting for months for. Finally got my z07 bumper. I've got it painted. Ordered it probably like a month and a half, 2 months ago. It finally came in. And we are gonna be installing the z01 style spoiler on the car. So that's gonna be what we're gonna be doing today. And we're gonna be doing it, what I think is the way it should be done with the z07 bumper, just kind of eliminate the holes. So putting these on, if you follow my channel, you know that I'm kind of anal about the weight. So unfortunately, there's no way to do this without adding some weight to the car. Aesthetically, I'm okay with it. And the reason I say that is, so on the car, you've got your base spoiler, which already has some weight to it. We're gonna find out today what that is. So with these pieces, this weight, there is drag already whenever you're doing quarter-mile passes or whatever, just from having the spoiler on the car, and especially with the winglets. And so by putting this one on, we can actually take this spoiler off for racing and have a completely flush bumper in the back. And while that's beneficial, aerodynamically, that should actually offset whatever weight I add to the car, which I actually know what that weight is, because we are going to be installing basically these EOS mounts. And so I will say I weighed these just a little bit ago. I'm going to post it on the screen here. These are 6 pounds, 6.1 pounds for everything. It's bolts and all. So that's they're pretty heavy. They're bulky. It's a pretty bulky setup. It looks kind of nice. Like I like the way it sits, but I definitely think there's some room for improvement on the weight side. So since I don't know how this mounts up yet, normally what I would do is I would make cuts at places I feel like structurally can take it, like here, maybe to kind of lighten this down, because as sturdy as this is, I just don't see the downforce really needing this much material in order to hold. But I'm not going to do that right now, just because I'm going to go ahead and put it on the car. I'm not sure structurally what's needed and what's not till I see it and visualize it on the car. At that point, I know that there's definitely material that can be taken off, 100%. I have no doubt about that. These are a little bit large. So that's what we're gonna be doing. So we're gonna get the bumper off, get the car back in, and once the car's back in, I'm going to start taking the bumper apart, which I've done before, and you guys have seen on the channel. I've had this bumper off multiple times. So we're gonna do that, get this rear bumper down, take some weight, and we're gonna swap all the pieces, and you're going to see that onto this bumper. The tail lights, our inner panels, you got our lower diffuser, all those things have to get swapped over, the sensors. So that's what we're gonna be doing. So, all right, so let's get started. Okay, so first things first, on the bumper, it's easiest to just go ahead and get the car up. I've tried doing this with keeping the wheel on and getting to the center fender liner. You can do that, but it's just easier to take the rear wheels and tires off so you can get to the inner fender liner, because there's 3 bolts up in here that hold this on. There's like a bracket. So then once you get those brackets done, inner fender off, you have to disconnect from up here, and you run all along through here, all these little 7mm T15s or something. Run all those off, and then once you've got those off and you've got your side pieces disconnected, then there's some under pieces that we'll show here in just a minute. You got to take those off and disconnect 2 wires, and then the bumper comes off. So that's the plan right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm not gonna show that, but I'm gonna get the wheels off, and then I'll go ahead and get these top bolts off. And then we'll kind of reconvene. Okay, so first step, you gotta pull off your rear guard here. It's got 2 on the top and then 1 7mm on the bottom, and this pops out. So that's the first thing we're gonna do. This will allow us access to under here after we take a few of these other little. Now this will just pop off, should. Okay. All right, and so now we're gonna have this one to come loose, and I'm gonna take a couple of these other little pieces loose just to give me access to pull this out. honestly, that's all you really have to do because you can get up in there. So here's what we're dealing with. So right up in here, there's this bracket. It's kind of hard to see, but it has basically 3 screws, 2 screws, and I think a bolt or nut that runs on it. And so we're gonna be taking all 3 of those loose, and that disengages it from here. And then underneath the car, we are gonna be basically taking off everything that connects to the bumper, which is here. All this diffuser pieces are gonna come loose. And that's gonna be our next steps after that. And that way this bumper can completely separate and come off the car when we pull it. Everything else should be able to stay intact. So, all right, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that off camera. I will kind of show you how to get to those pieces up in the fenders. So, okay, so your 2 initial ones, let me get the light over here a little better. So your 2 initial ones, they just come off super easy with a 7mm, 1 and 2. And then your back one's a 10mm, and you just need a deep weld to get to that one, and that comes off. Okay, a couple things that I want to point out. So this corner ones, I would use a manual ratchet on. You can use your electric for all the other ones. The other thing is too, every car is different from my understanding. There's these little shims that are like this that sit underneath where these holes are. So you want to keep those kind of in the same spot if you can, because when you pull this bumper off, these are going to try to fall down. I had this happen last time. So if you can try to put them all directly across from where you're at, being it's a new bumper, you know, there's probably different flex in different places, so this may not apply, but I'm trying to keep everything the way it was, so that when I put it back together, it's got the same number of shims. Otherwise, what you'll have is alignment problems on the side. This is already loose, so this is right now. This does pull that a little tighter, but you can run into alignment issues. So just be cognizant of where those spacers are. So we've got all those off, and those are just your T15s. And then now we're gonna be moving to the underside. And once I've got those loose, the bumper should be ready besides 2 connectors to come off. Okay, the only ones that I'm aware of, you have to take off at the bottom of these on each side to separate it. You don't have to take this piece off. So we should be good to go now. That's the only thing that's holding that I can see. Everything else is other than those connectors. So you will need a buddy for this part to help you pull this off. This is almost impossible to do by yourself. All right, so when you're taking this off, you've got 3 connectors off lock pans. Push back, push in. You got your little one, same deal, backing in. All have lock tabs, and they just press and they come off pretty easily. And that exposes the area where we're gonna be installing the mounts, which are gonna go like here, here, per my understanding. And then they're gonna stick up from there. So now that's off, you can see certain places have these shims. There's little numbers. I'm not sure the significance of the numbers or the markings, but I'm sure they're somehow significant. So I'm gonna pull out the instructions now, take a look at what we gotta do to get this EOS set up on here, and then we're gonna kind of go from there. Okay, and so every single piece under here has to come off to go on the new bumper. I'm not looking forward to that part. There's a lot of stuff. You got these brake ducts, you got your pieces, you got your tail lights, you got your center lights, you got your wiring, you got your exhaust tips, you've got your pieces down here. Luckily they all look like they come off pretty quick and easily, but I'm gonna have to pay attention to these brackets and getting all this stuff off. So I'm gonna start working on pulling that off now. And I'll try to walk you through as much of that as I can. A lot of it's self-explanatory, at least what it looks like. But if there's something that's complicated on this, then I will show that on video. So, but otherwise, I'm basically gonna be taking all of these little, it looks like 7mm bolts all at the bottom. I'm gonna start there and pull those parts off, and then just do direct swaps. And I'm gonna do it at the same time so that I don't lose track of what goes where. So as I pull it off, I'm gonna put it on the other. So that's my plan at least. So. And also too, now that I think about it, those don't have to come off because this piece is a separate lower valence. So that's just gonna be these clip pieces that are gonna pop off, and I can keep all that on there and just swap it over. So that's actually not gonna be that bad. So the main pieces are gonna be your tail lights here, your brake ducts, and then up here, those pieces. So that's not too bad. Okay, all right, well, I'll show anything that's difficult. Okay, so how I'm doing this is I'm taking my harness from the center, working my way outwards. The hardest part's these connectors, and then as I pull those off, I'm gonna take these pieces off individually, swap them to the other bumper, and then put the harness starting from the center, work its way back on. So that's my plan on how to do this. So I'm gonna kind of do that for each thing. Once I get it disconnected, swap it over, and then kind of go from there. Okay, initially I couldn't figure out how to get these off. So basically what you're doing is there's hooks on here, on the bottom of this. So these have like a hook that locks that on place. And so you're just gonna press down on these pieces. And then as you press down, they pop off. I could not figure out, or I'm sorry, press up. So as you press up, it's gonna release the lock on each one. And then you're able to pull each tab kind of out. So I won't be able to do that on camera, but that's how these come off. It's kind of confusing at first. Okay, just so you guys know, this comes out from the bottom. These little brackets here, they sit over and hold the screws, take those loose. It's got push clips that pop through, and then you can get this out from the bottom and then pop it back up to reinstall. So we're gonna do that. Okay, another little hiccup. So these little pieces have to be swapped too. And so they have like a clamp piece on the backside that pop in. So you have to get, what I found is the best tool for that is one of these curved, and then get back up in there, squeeze it, and it just pops out. So you have to do that for each one. So this is a lot more involved than meets the eye, let me just tell you that. Well guys, unfortunately, these mounts will not work. So the way they mount up is you've got basically a two-piece setup that sits on there. And in order for that to work, on their wing, which I'll show you on this video, their wing has this bracket goes inside their spoiler, and it's a two-piece on the base, and this kind of creates like a mounting backing point. That will not work on my AGM spoiler. Like even the bolt holes, when I measured them, they're not the same distance. So there's just no possible way without modifying this to make this work. And so I'm not gonna modify those brackets. So we're gonna have to do something a little different here, unfortunately. But in the meantime, what I am gonna do is just put the z07 bumper, swap everything over, and we're just gonna go ahead and put the z07 bumper on there, but there are gonna be no brackets. So I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do for the plan for the brackets. Since these will not work with my spoiler, I don't wanna go through all this trouble putting these on there for them not to work, unfortunately. So, I mean, it's possible that there's a different base plate set up, that they're all the same and I could just get the top part. Possibly, but I don't want to go through all this drilling and then it just only work for the EOS, which right now that's what it kind of looks like is the case. So we're just going to finish swapping everything. We got most of our little pieces here. I'm going to put that other bumper on. That'll be done. And then when I'm ready with the brackets, I'll put those on. So unfortunately, no big spoiler today. Okay, so since we're not going to be doing the mounts, we're going to go ahead and put the z07 bumper on the car. These little pieces, the best thing to do. So you have a bolt here, you got this bracket that comes off that needs to go on last. Same over there, one little bolt down at the bottom that comes off. All these little push pins. I thought I was gonna use a screwdriver the easiest way, but it's actually just easier just to use your fingernail and just push in and just pop it down. It's really hard to show that on screen, but you're gonna go through each one of these. Push with your fingernail. I gotta use my other hand, unfortunately. I'm non-dominant, and once you do that, you're gonna push all these out. So you're gonna go up all the way through, bam, 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 and all the way down with all the push pins, and that's gonna separate the lower valence, and you can just take that off, or diffuser, or whatever you wanna call it, and then we're just gonna swap that over to the other side. So that's what we're gonna do next. Okay, so once you've got the bottom diffuser off, I found the easiest way is to set the bumper like this, obviously protect the corners, and then bring the diffuser over and then push it in. I'm going to tape up my corners with tape all through here with painter's tape, just so I don't scratch the paint doing this, because that diffuser is actually pretty heavy. It's a little bit bulky, so I think that's definitely something to think about doing if you're going to do this. Okay, so take everything up for protection, and now I think the best route is to lift this up, pull it back, and then you can push everything on, and so that's what we're going to try to do. Okay, so the best way I found to do it is actually lay this piece down first, bring your bumper over and set it on top of it and lock the pieces in, and that's the easiest way to get this locked in from what I can find. So anyways, that's what I've discovered so far. All right, so something else, all your corners here, the mount pieces aren't on. You got to steal them from your other spoiler, unfortunately. So you can steal them from anywhere, because some it comes with, some it doesn't, for whatever reason. You can see here, some of those you have to take off and swap over. Some are already on here. I don't understand the rhyme or reason to this. Like, this is already there. So anyways, long story short, you're gonna have to swap these over. These you can't get a rinse to, so they're gonna have to get either new ones or swap them from your other spoiler, just to get your taillights on, just FYI. This has been a lot more involved than I was expecting. Okay, so something interesting. This module here, I don't know what this is. It looks like a module mount. There's one on each side, and they're labeled right hand and left hand on this new bumper. On my factory bumper, it is not there. So, what is this? Anybody know? Anybody? So basically it's a module for 1LZ cars, I guess, don't have blind spot monitoring. And Justin looked it up, and this is evidently for the modules for blind spot monitoring, which my car does not have since it's the base car. So there is a difference in the bumpers. To anybody swapping to a base bumper, they won't be able to. Guys, we are done. Couple of things. So obviously I didn't get the brackets, so the spoiler's not going to be on. I went ahead and put it back together so I could drive the car until I get the brackets. So this is what she looks like. No lettering. Z07 bumper. I'm pretty happy with it. You know, it's one of those things where, like, I need the lettering. I still don't have that. And then once the spoiler's on there, it'll definitely look complete. But that being said, I think it turned out pretty well. Still got to clean this bumper. It's still got some a little bit of dirt and stuff on it. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Can't wait to get the spoiler actually on and get this thing kind of dropped down once that spoiler's sticking out the back. But you can see how aero-wise, at least right now, this right here is probably going to give you the fastest drag times like this. So with the wing off, that's going to give you the most aero. Nothing's pushing down on that back end. So anyways, but that's kind of where we're at. So I'm going to conclude this video. Sorry I didn't get to get the spoiler on. That'll unfortunately have to be in another one. But this will be a how-to on how to do a Z07 bumper swap. A couple other things. So on the bumper, you'll have to swap over the little push pins for your plate too. So if you buy one. So anyways, but that's it. Like and subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Bye.